Hi, everyone, and welcome to our webinar on our TestFit add-in for Revit. Today's our two presenters are Nat McDonald, who's our product owner here at TestFit, and Matthew Kendall, who's our product lead expert. We're going to take you guys through what's possible with our new add-in. It is still in beta for now, important thing to note, but we can't wait for y'all to try it out and to get some great feedback from you guys. A few housekeeping notes before we kick off. The webinar will be recorded for everybody, and we will be sending those to everyone who registered for the webinar afterwards. So if you'd like to share this information with colleagues or friends, you can do that. We'll also include links to our knowledge base, which includes some how-to articles if you want to touch base on that afterwards. We have the chat open for chit chat, but I would love it if you guys could please use the Q&A button for any questions you have during the webinar. We'll be answering them live in chat, and at the end, we'll be putting a few of those to the team so they can demonstrate some of the answers. All right, and before I hand over to the guys, I'm just going to run a quick poll to get a better sense of who's in the audience today and make sure, we're tailoring everything accordingly. So we have a few questions. How experienced of a TestFit user are you? Whether you're very experienced, somewhat new on a trial, or literally have no idea what TestFit is and have never used it. And the other question, thanks for your patience with the roll one, because I know we asked that on registration, but it'll just help us tailor live what we're going to be presenting for you guys. All right, we'll give it another 10 seconds. All right. Can you guys see my results? Fantastic. So how experienced of a TestFit user are you? I mean, no one wants to call themselves an expert, eh? But we have some new clients, some people who are on a trial, and some who have never used it themselves as well. So we'll make sure we'll cover a bit of an introduction to TestFit in our webinar. Primarily architect, a few falling into other, I'm assuming a few consultants from some of the names on here, as well as real estate developers and GCs. All right, so without further ado, I will hand over to Nat.
Awesome. Thank you, Alexine. Can you hear me all right? Someone nod? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Wonderful. So yeah, just to reintroduce ourselves again, I'm Nat. Matt is also joining us. Obviously we are a part of TestFit. It sounds like a lot of people are new to TestFit. So to give you an idea of what we do, we are a desktop-based software that helps developers, architects, urban planners solve site plans during feasibility phase. So these sites can be a variety of housing, like high density, low density. We also do industrial. We actually started with a parking configurator. And we also do mass-based buildings, which is kind of a more generic configurator that we have. So to show a little bit more, Kendall is our lead product expert. He's going to bring us through just kind of how you would use TestFit and get started.
Yep, we'll go ahead and share that. Cool. So kind of give you a quick run through of TestFit. What we're going to do is we're just going to type in our location. You see brought us to downtown Dallas area where we're kind of based out of. We're going to move over here to, let's see where we want to go. There we go. To a site over here. So what we're going to first do is turn on the background a bit. I'm going to click plus. I'm going to add a new site over here. I'm going to start off with this kind of garden one. I'm going to click draw. And then you'll see I'm just going to kind of draw a large outline for this site. Go in here, complete that. You can see it's kind of placed that garden building on there. You kind of continue on to that one. We're just going to add another site so we can talk about a couple things. We're going to call this one a wrap, start drawing. We're going to use our parcel tool from this one. So we're going to take this guy across the street. We're going to combine all these parcels together. It's going to put a large wrap building on there, which we can go through a couple kind of configurations over here on this left side for different kind of styles of that. So look at the buildings themselves. So looking at the multifamily side of things, we can quickly go in and change unit depths. If we wanted to get into kind of the weeds of it, there's also options to go in and plug in your own custom units. And I'll click on this one called attachments. You can see it has an embedded image inside. So we let you go through and define that itself. If we wanted to go into that a little bit more, we can change this to student housing. We can change it to modules or micro units. We'll just leave it on attachments for now. So quickly kind of go through your designs. There's also options that come in and kind of start changing outlines of these buildings. We can go a step farther than that if we wanted to. And let's say we wanted to take this kind of larger piece over here, cut it down in half. We can start to look at different styles of projects on different on different lots itself. I'm going to add one more side over here to this top right side, and this is going to be our mass-based one that Nat talked about. So same kind of idea. I draw a large polyline, kind of finish this off over here. This one's going to be more of just a pure massing option. Right now, you see we have something called in here, just saying it's like a grocery store, just a retail center. You can see you can kind of slide this around. We'll leave this kind of over here on this direction. Popping in 3D. So I'm going to create another scheme. Now, if we wanted to go in and start changing some more information of these projects itself, we can go into the setbacks and start sliding these up. See how it's changing the parking, kind of rerouting the ramp if needed. Then we can go in and start to change orientation of those garages as well. So if we were to try other kind of directions of that site, cycling through that kind of shows you different parkings and also gives you instant tabs up above. Now back to the units. If we wanted to change the mixes, let's say we want to cut out 3 beds, change it to 60% ones, 60%, or sorry, 60% studios, 20% ones, 20% twos. If we see down here on the bottom, it's updated those numbers as we start to hit those the new unit mix targets. To kind of keep going with that subdivide tool, let's say if we wanted to take this as well, we can start to cut this again. We've kind of created 2 sites. So this lets you go in and start plugging in different kinds of buildings on here if we needed to. And then just for fun, we'll just throw a little small industrial guy over here at the bottom. You can see how that kind of starts to solve. Second. So I'm going to change this guy over here to another podium project just so we can look at that separate option. You can see our scheme 1's kind of showing this original piece that we have here, scheme 2 going a bit farther. If we need to make kind of more complex adjustments to the building, let's say if we need to do some setbacks at height, we can go in, create those setbacks, start to push that building over, and you'll see it's updating depending on the constraints that we have. More options over here, so we can see there's another piece, click on there. And it gives us this kind of, more C-shape option with this kind of opening up over to here. Yeah, so that's just kind of a quick overview of TestFit, kind of high level. But Nat, go ahead and show them like what we do from this point and how to kind of take it into that Revit atmosphere.
Yeah, absolutely. So let me share my screen again. So I think the most important question right now is like, why do we want to pass it on to Revit? And for the majority of the biggest reason is while you're creating value for your clients at different stages throughout the design process, you're often transferring things from one thing to another, like CAD to Revit or Bluebeam to Revit. And you're getting all this data loss along the way. So what we really want to focus on is how can we keep that value from TestFit and get it into Revit and do that as easily as possible. So previously, the way we were doing this was through Dynamo. We had some Dynamo nodes, some Dynamo scripts that would allow you to take TestFit and bring it into Revit. This is good for like the computational designers of the world, the BIM managers that can run Dynamo, that understand it. But ultimately, it's a bit limiting for a lot of our customers. We don't want to have to ask you to learn another piece of software just to get to continue your design process. So what we did was we said, let's take the strengths of TestFit and Revit, make it as easy as possible to go between them. And really, we see the strength of TestFit is during feasibility phase. How can we either kill a deal or move on with one? And then ultimately, Revit is very strong at documentation. So let's take that data from TestFit, bring it into Revit, document that, and have the full design process continue on. So just a little bit more about this add-in. Right now, we're doing a 1-month free beta that's open to all TestFit customers and trialers. I'll show you kind of where you can download it from our TestFit website, and it's a very simple install. Our idea was, any Revit user that has installed an add-in before or just installed TestFit before can very easily get it onto their machine, because that's not really the way it was for Dynamo. So let me just show you real quick where that occurs, that install. So if you just go to testfit.io, you can sign in. It auto signed in because I had already signed into it. You can go to your licenses, scroll down here to licenses, hit download. It'll say download for Windows, hit that, and this MSI will pop up. So it's just like any other MSI. It's deployable to many machines. If you want to run this on, all your entire firm's machines. And that's the install process. So very, very easy. Once it's installed, we can go into Revit and look at how we use it there. And if there's any questions, Kendall just point them out to me that I can answer live or later. So here's the site that Kendall created in TestFit. We have a basic industrial site, garden, some high density stuff with setbacks, and a mass-based building. What we want to do is take all this, bring it into Revit as your standard families, all that good stuff. So let me put that on the side there. Let's open up Revit. And if you can see, I've pre-baked some of this stuff. This is for the last script I'll show you. But for now, we'll do a live demo, and hopefully Revit is friendly with us today. Let me just move this Zoom out of the way. There we go. Okay. So what you can see in the top here is the TestFit add-in. So once you run through that MSI, this is automatically going to show in all your Revit versions from 2018 through 2023. I believe it would show up pre-2018 also, but that's a while back. So I'm not making any promises. Up here, you can kind of see the 4 different functionalities that we have. So right now, the first one I'll show you is how to bring in standard apartment units into TestFit from Revit. So I guess the scenario would be your architecture firm has a library of standard apartment units like this. You've got your countertops in there, your toilets, your beds. You can schedule everything from here. It's all your families are within there, and it's friendly with your sheets, your views, your schedules. So ideally what you want to do is take this and be able to bring it into TestFit, so then you can configure a site from it. I'm just going to show one of these units because there's a little bit of a process to it, but it should give you the idea of kind of how it works. So first we go up here, go to export kit of parts. Right now, what you'll see on here is basically you can open the RSD file or the KOP file that you want to edit. If you want to create a new one, you can also do that. We'll use this one, open it up. And these are the units that are currently in there. So I believe I did this a day or so ago and brought in 3 units, gave them the category, number of bath, number of beds. But let's just delete one of those and start from scratch. So I want to add a unit. I'll give it a name. I'll say B1. Go through the categories, 2 bed, 2 bed, 2 bath, 2 bed. And then what we're doing is basically defining what the boundaries are for this unit. So if I click select, it allows me to select only walls. So I'll select kind of our boundary walls. Oops, wrong wall. I'll hit finish up here, and that brings it in and says, okay, you have 6 walls that are defining that unit. I can then add a balcony. That, do an entry. Finish that, and then let's just give it a bright pinkish color. So now when I hit execute, what I can do is open up TestFit. I'll create a new site, just a little wrap. There we go. I'll change the units to the KOP that I put. And there we go. So B1 has been loaded. It has the dimensions that we had in there, has the color. So basically you can do that over and over with all your units. Bring it into Revit or into TestFit, and you know, okay, these are the exact dimensions that I care about. And this is, you know, the building is working with the units that I want. So let me just check the questions to make sure there aren't any on KOP right now. Can you make adjustments to the units and reload them to TestFit? Good question, Stephen. So yeah, what you can do if we are up here, we hit this. If you want to, you know, manipulate this unit and then bring it in as a new one, you could just delete the previous one, reselect and bring that in. Let's see, anything else? No, I don't think so.
Not specifically about kit parts, Nat. We can ask some of the other ones to you live at the end.
Okay, cool. Yeah, just yell out Lexine or Kendall if there's a specific one that I can answer.
Oh, we actually did just get one. Can you bring in a standard corner unit and specify that only gets inserted at corner, whether it's inner or outer?
You bring in a standard corner unit and specify that it only gets inserted at corner, inner, and outer. If that's in terms of bringing in the units as a KOP, right now in the beta, we don't support corner units. They're a little more complicated for us. So, you know, there's a little more tweaking to do. But also, if you were to edit the units in here, let's select this site over here. You can just very easily add those corner units here. So this process from Revit into TestFit is just an easier version of just going in and manually creating these things. Okay. I'm going to keep moving along, and then if there's any of these questions that I don't get to, I can answer them at the end.
Perfect.
Perfect. Okay, so we have, you know, we've configured our RSD file with the units that we want. So now let's bring all that geometry inside of Revit. So what we do is we go up to here, hit import project, and you can select the RSD file that you want. So it's going to remember what RSD file you select, but you know, there we go. This is the one that Matt created. And I'll go through this kind of with each one of these sites and kind of explain a new feature of this each time. So the first thing is the scheme. So we're going to go with a third scheme, site A. Just going to hit execute, and we'll see how fast that occurs. There we go. Okay, so we have an industrial building there. That's a good start. You have your parking, your truck line or your truck docks, your roads and whatnot as lines. Next thing, so let's find another one. Let's go to site B. So you're basically selecting a different site each time. And now what we can do is we can say, you know, maybe I don't want to show my site boundary in that. So I could turn that off, or I don't want to bring the building in. I just want to bring parking, or you can turn parking off, anything like that. So you can adjust that there. Let's bring that in. And each one of these, it's kind of dependent on how complicated the buildings are. They usually take around 5 seconds. I would say that's not too bad, given, it would take a whole lot of time to draw this entire thing. But yeah, so it's in there. And as you can see, basically what we're doing, I'll just delete this roof for now so we can see inside of it. We're taking all the geometry in TestFit and bringing it in. So you have your demising walls, your entries, your balconies. I think we had some retail space down here, so there aren't balconies down there. We're getting, I would not say, you can do CD level drawings off of this, but it certainly gives you a good starting point during SD. Let's bring in a few more sites, and then we'll do kind of our interior fit out thing. So if you saw down here before, what we're doing here is we're basically saying on the left here is the TestFit geometry. So roofs, amenity walls, lift walls, stair walls, firewalls. And we're saying, look at all the families in this project and allow you to set that family for the geometry. So if we wanted to change balcony walls to, some real heavy 12-inch thick walls, we can do that here. We can hit execute. That's going to bring all that geometry in. Oh, that was a massing mode site, so sorry about that. That doesn't have any balcony walls, which is one of the pieces of feedback that we've received is, we should only be showing what families are at, or what geometry is actually in that site. So anyway, we can keep going through this. And if you actually remembered that change, so each time you come in here, you don't have to find your family, select it, and go to it. It's always going to remember your last input. So let's run that, and let me just check if there's any questions.
There's lots, Nat, but we'll put them to you at the end.
Okay,
Brocken,
cool.
Let us know when you're ready.
That works. All right. I think we should be able to keep this within time. These are running well. One question I see right now, Jacob, do all elements come in as individual? Yeah, so let me go into the geometry a little more. Basically, each piece of geometry is brought in as its own thing. It's its own family. As you can see up here, you have your 12-inch walls, you have your 6-inch walls. That's all individual. Same with roofs, same with floors. And parking, let's look at better parking. Parking right now is brought in as model lines. There was discussion about bringing them in as families, but I would say a lot of people have different ways of doing parking stall families. So we ultimately decided we're going to give you lines. It's a really easy thing to work with, and it's also very fast, as you can see. Let's just bring in the last one just for good looks. I think this is the garden one. How do you justify the wall location line, core center line? So that's going to be off of center line. All of TestFit is off of center line right now. Okay, cool. So we have, I would say, a pretty good site to start with, given that took, a few minutes. Now, the next thing I think is particularly cool for our multifamily customers, which is obviously all these units are empty right now. But what we started with was, these very highly modeled complex families or units. So what we should be able to do is basically take these units and populate the building with them. So I'll show you the quick overview of how that works. I won't run it because this will probably take like 5 minutes for a building of like 100 units. And I don't want to wait around for that. So what we do is we go to interior fit outs. We select the RSD file that we want to reference. So here we go. The RSD file there. We select the scheme, the site, and let me just check which site we want. That's site B. And now what we do is hit select model groups. And what we can do is click on these model groups. And what these model groups are all the interior components of this unit. So let me just hit finish here. So if we click on this model group, and I've lightened it up a little bit so it ran faster, but the idea is that everything within the walls and the demising walls is in that model group. And what this will do is it will say, okay, this model group is called B1. Look for a unit type in TestFit that is also B1, and then take this model group and copy and paste it into this building in the right location there. So if I were to hit execute, Revit would take 5 or so minutes, depending on the size of the model. But I'm not going to do that because I don't want to wait that long. So what it ends up looking like is this. So you have a proper building, you have the entire interior fit out by model group. So if you wanted to change your A2s here, it would change everywhere else. So let's see if there's any specific questions about this. Let's see, I know where to define partners. Nothing about this yet, so I'll save those for the end. Okay, so yeah, this is a better starting point than taking your Bluebeam PDF and underlaying it in here and having an intern draw walls for a week or so. Let's go back into here. So a few more things before questions. You all can see those slides, yeah. Okay, cool. So again, that was kind of the workflow there. So the roadmap. So we've been working on this for 3 years, at least talking with Revit. Oops. We created Dynamo nodes in 2018. We created the Dynamo workflow last year. We're releasing this as a free beta for our customers and trialers now, hoping to complete that pretty soon. And ultimately, we're moving forward with this. What we would like to do is make it even simpler, to potentially allow people that don't even have Revit on their machine, don't even know how to run Revit, to basically create these models as a start. Or if you're, a BIM manager and you know exactly how you want this model to be brought in via TestFit or the Addin. We should be able to give you the ability with the design automation API to hit a button and that gets emailed to you or sent to a certain folder. You don't have to open Revit and TestFit at any time. Also looking to family presets. So, you have a particular building type that these are going to be the families. I would like to, save that. And then also linked model units for the interior fit out script. Right now we're using model groups because that's easiest, but we've also heard people want linked model unit or linked models. So yeah, that is our general roadmap. And again, this free beta is for to get feedback from everyone. So if you have any constructive criticism, please let us know. The best place to start, and I'll ask Alexine to put these links in the chat, If you're an existing customer, go to our knowledge base article. That will show you exactly how to download it, how to install it, and how to use it. For new customers, you are welcome to try and do that, but I would really suggest just scheduling a demo with our amazing team. We can give you a much better idea of how TestFit works with your workflow, and how we can get it into Revit from there.
Awesome. Sorry, Nat. Thank you very much for that.
That's perfect.
We ready to rock and roll on questions?
Yeah. Let's
Don't worry, I'll put them to you, make it a little easier.
Yeah, that would be great.
All right. So if we already have a TestFit subscription, is this add-on included or will it be an additional cost?
So right now the free beta is included. We've given licenses to all of our existing customers and trialers at this time. So you should be able to go to that knowledge base article, go through that install process, and get it today.
Great. Is there flexibility with the square calculations? Gross versus net, units versus common space versus vertical circulation? I don't know, Kendall, if you wanted to take this one.
Yeah, we definitely have a breakdown of kind of all of those and like expanded tabulations and then kind of other ways of kind of adjusting like space properties if we needed to include those or not include those in certain calculations.
Awesome, thank you. We answered that one live. Do adjacent units share the same wall?
Yes, they do. So we have the idea of a demising wall in TestFit. So yes, there is a shared wall there. People have mentioned, maybe particularly having two walls between a unit for kind of sound reasons. That I think could be pretty well built out with a family, but we could certainly work with you if that was a need.
Thanks, Nat. Is it creating the unit from the exterior boundary of the wall?
Yeah, the unit outlines can. That's right. Yeah, the unit outline is inclusive of like all the walls. So hallway, exterior, most times to the air gap of the demising walls on each side. So it's inclusive. I guess you would technically call that like gross unit area because you're taking all of it versus like the net one, which is like more paint to paint.
Perfect. Thank you. Sorry, guys, I've just noticed we're starting to run over time here, so I'm going to call it. We have lots of questions coming in, though, so we will be sure to get back to you guys via email after the webinar. You'll also be getting the recording, knowledge-based links, and demo links for anyone who's not using TestFit yet. I want to thank you all very much for your time, especially Nat and Kendall for your presentations. Thank you so much, guys.